Myers and I had a discussion with a member of the NAACP, and during that discussion, we talked about, once you allow something, it's gonna possibly end up setting precedent for future displays. And I don't think that that's something that the city council wants to get into, not that we're necessarily against, an outreach support of any organization, possibly, on city property, but it's, I probably shouldn't even say that, 'cause that's not true. I think that what we need to do right now, before we allow this Juneteenth flag to fly and others that might follow later, is to take some time and formulate a good policy around, what's shown on public property, and sort of the statement that might make, across the city. I mean, we had a couple of folks speak today that, are very much, they're passionate about what they said. And then Brandon and I had a conversation with somebody before the meeting, that's the reason why we were late, that was just as passionate on the other side. And it's our responsibility as the city council, the city government, to formulate a good policy around that, to take into consideration, both emotional consideration, but also legal consideration as to what is appropriate and what's not. So, do you have anything? Yes, please do.
So I think we've had conversations around the First Amendment for different topics, before, so you all may remember that, generally speaking, as a government, we have to make, what's called content neutral decisions, about, when you're introducing regulations or decisions about, expressive, materials that are protected under the First Amendment. So, what I mean by that is if you have to, look at the material, or you have to listen to what's being said or what's being played to determine if it's allowed or not, then that's not a content neutral decision. Generally speaking, governments have to allow expression that is protected under the First Amendment in what's called a public forum. So a traditional public forum is a place like a park, for example, a sidewalk, the grounds of City Hall, for example. So in those cases, you have, a citizen, any citizen has a right to, any type of speech or expression, that would be protected under the First Amendment. If a city opens up, or if a government opens up a non-traditional, public forum and allows, certain expressive speech there, then, you also have to make content neutral decisions, regarding, the future use of that kind of public forum. So, in visiting, in thinking about this and working through this, and I really have other examples, not just flying the commemorative flags. We've done a little bit of research, and I do have some examples of policies that are in place in other cities regarding commemorative flags. But I think we've got a bigger conversation as well, when we talk about, and one of the things that I know you have it all memorized, and you'll remember that one of the initiatives that is in our strategic plan is to develop a community partner sponsorship and advertising policy. And what that meant, when we added that to the strategic plan, was to have framework around, who is allowed to put an advertisement on our Channel 10, or which organizations can include information in a utility bill insert, or which organizations can request banners to be hung around the city. So we had some consistency around that. In addition to that, I really think we could broaden out that initiative and really talk about things like event sponsorship. So the city at this point does sponsor events, and we do not have a policy around which events we sponsor and which events we don't sponsor. We also provide in-kind support for events. So, for example, you can think about the National Day of Prayer and the setting up of the stage and the chairs, that's done in kind. We also don't really have a policy there. I mentioned already our banners, listing events on our website, community calendar, Channel 10, social media, utility bill inserts, even our on-hold music when people call in. Special displays around City Hall for special causes, and also city-sponsored cultural and special day programs and campaigns. We don't have a comprehensive policy related to this. So my recommendation is that you all task city staff to work with our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Commission to develop a policy recommendation to bring back to you for your consideration that would cover these items and allow us to make decisions in the framework of a policy.
Council's thoughts on that?
I think that makes sense. We need to be open, but at the same time, we need to be careful and be able to know what impact it will have and what we decide, so.
Well, we heard really good comments today, from residents who came in and made remarks about, the American flag and the Texas flag flying over City Hall and not allowing other kinds of flags. And that, frankly, I hadn't looked at it from that angle, prior to listening today, and that was eye-opening. What if we ask our commission, who we support and are very happy to have, to come back with some kind of a policy, and the policy is wide open, that they come back and recommend? In other words, recognize any group that comes forward and wants to be recognized. Where does that leave us? Where would that leave us?
Well, the DEI commission is obviously an advisory board or commission to you all, so you still would have the final, you would be the final approval authority on that. If you didn't feel like there was, sufficient enough parameters in the proposed policy.
All right.
And again, I think that it's broader than just a commemorative flag.
Yes.
But it includes, many different areas that we engage in some type of speech or, partnership with outside organizations to allow our resources and our facilities to be used for, speech or expression, or advertisement or sponsorship, things like that.
And all of those things could fall under the parameter of a flag that represented X, Y, Z. Any speech, advertising, et cetera.
Yes, I would see the commemorative flag piece of it as a piece of a bigger
Right.
policy level decision.
Sure.
Okay.
Anything else? All right, very good. I will, consider this workshop adjourned. It's currently 5:10, and we'll all meet up in the Jet Lawrence Ballroom for the